Hello everybody, this is JT Productions and welcome back to another preview and prediction video for the 2023 season. Today we will be doing the Auburn Tigers. In 2022, Auburn ended up going 5-7, probably one of their worst records since probably 2012. First time they haven't made a bowl game since then. Well, besides 2020, but that was a weird year. Anyways, they had a bad 2022 season. After a promising start to the 2021 season under Brian Harsin, they just could not get back on the rails with this one. They started the season 2-0 with a close win against San Jose State before getting absolutely drugged by Penn State in a game where last year in State College they actually kept it close with almost beating Penn State in their own house. They got a close overtime win against Missouri before losing 4 straight. And at this point, Brian Harsin was fired. In comes Cardale Williams, interim head coach, former Auburn running back that breathed life into this team. They played at Mississippi State and gave Mississippi State a run for their money, losing in overtime 39-33. This, at this point, was a turning point for the Tigers as Cadillac had brought new life, as I said. Then they would play Texas A&M and get a big win for Coach Cadillac's first win ever as a head coach. 13-10, being the first win since September Bowl. Then they would play Western Kentucky, beating them 41-17 before playing Alabama, and they got up early in this game and gave Auburn some false hope, but Alabama was just too much for them, beating them 49-27. Now, after the season, a lot of people were wanting Coach Cadillac to get the Auburn job. However, the head office had other plans. They went out and got Liberty head coach Hugh Freeze. Now, if you have been following the SEC for about probably a decade and a half or a decade now, you know the name Hugh Freeze and what is surrounds that name. He was originally the head coach at Ole Miss and was fired and run out of town because of recruiting violations that led to Ole Miss not being able to go to a bowl game and a lot of restrictions on how many scholarship players they could have for the next 2-3 seasons. Now, they didn't have enough wins to make a bowl game anyways in that time period, but with those recruiting violations and, the stuff that surrounded it, Hugh Freeze was kicked down to the Group of 5 level, where he got a head coaching job at Liberty, and he brought them to a respectable level. With quarterback Malik Willis, who ironically transferred in from Auburn, he made him an NFL-capable quarterback at Liberty. At least it seemed like it. And now Auburn decides they're going to give him a job. So let's see what he's working with. Before he got here, the Auburn roster was depleted of talent. They had Robbie Ashford, they had Jarquez Hunter, they had people like that, but there was a bunch of guys that transferred out, especially at wide receiver. Well, in comes Hugh Freeze and getting a top 2 transfer portal class and turning that narrative around. He got a quarterback in Peyton Thorne coming in from Michigan State. He got 2 wide receivers, Shane Hooks and Jair Shorter, out of the portal. He got tackles Dylan Wade and Gunnar Britton out of the portal, center Avery Jones, and tight end Rivaldo Fairweather out of the portal. Offensively, they're going to be much improved. They also got Caleb Burton, Nick Mardner, Jaden Muskrat, and Xavion Miller, as well as Brian Beatty coming in. So the offense, they're going to have some guys. It's just if he can put them all together. On defense is a similar story. He's got guys coming back like Marcel Harris, Nehemiah Pritchett, Zion Puckett, Jalen Simpson, DJ James, and Keontae Scott, while adding pieces like Justin Rogers from Kentucky, Mosiah Nasil Kite coming in, Jaden McLeod, Austin Keys, and Larry Nixon. And some other guys like Elijah McAllister, Lawrence Johnson, Quintrell, Jamison Travis, Stephen Sings, Demario Talvin from the portal to get some good quality depth. And this is going to be great for Auburn because in the SEC, you need to have good depth. And with getting these guys in from the portal, he's going to have some semblance of that. So, now that we got that, let's check in on how they're going to do this year. Auburn starts the year at home against one of the worst teams in the FBS in UMass. I think that they're going to be able to handle this team and get a lot of looks at their offense and defense to see how they're going to fare early in this season before they're battle tested. And they're going to have a big test week 2, going on the road to Berkeley, California to take on the Cal Golden Bears. This is a 10:30 kick Eastern time, I believe 7:30 kick Pacific time. And it's going to be a big game for both of these teams to see how they're going to fare this year. It's going to be a game to where you got to show up if you want to win this game. This is not going to be a gimme for either. Now, I have a lot more faith in Hugh Freeze and Auburn than I do in California. So I think Auburn, with a lot of those portal players, are going to squeak out a close win on the road at Cal before coming back home to play Samford on homecoming. Now, in the past, especially under Brian Harsin, after games like this, you would have with games like this against Samford and lower classification teams, Auburn would struggle. And I don't think with Hugh Freeze that's going to be an issue. I think Hugh Freeze is going to have their guys up and ready. If you remember at Ole Miss when he was there, they lost to Memphis 2 years in a row when they had Florida State's head coach there as their head coach. So I think they're going to be able to get a big win against Samford before going on the road again, this time to College Station. This is going to be a tough game for them. Texas A&M has one of the most talented rosters in the country. While they have not taken advantage of that lately, bringing in Bobby Petrino from Missouri State as offensive coordinator, if Jimbo gives him the keys to the offense, is going to be a big help. This is going to be a tough game for Auburn, and I think this is where you have your first loss. Texas A&M, they're just a different animal if they can put everything together. Now, if they start to sputter and everything and Jimbo doesn't want to give away to the keys to the offense, I could totally see Auburn getting a win here in College Station. While it is one of the tougher environments in the SEC, if Jimbo doesn't want to change his offense enough to where Texas A&M can take full advantage, teams like Auburn can take advantage of that and get wins against Texas A&M. We saw it last year with Appalachian State and a lot of the other games where they should have lost, like Arkansas. So, you got your first loss, 3-1, before hosting Georgia. This, you'll see when I do the Georgia schedule, is a game to where I think Georgia could slip up a little bit and get down maybe a little bit early, but I do think Georgia has a more talented roster. I think they're better coached at this point, and I think they're more experienced on the road in the SEC to where Georgia won't slip enough to lose this game. So I think Georgia wins this game, and Auburn drops their second loss. So 3-2 going into the bye week before coming out to play another tough road game at LSU. The Auburn-LSU game over the past decade has been very interesting in the terms of how close they've been. Look at from 2016 to now, and you'll maybe see one blowout. I believe 2020 when they played Auburn blew out LSU. But besides that, 2016 you had the time both teams lost. 2017 and 18 you had LSU's comebacks. 2019 you had the game where Auburn gave LSU all they wanted. 2020 blowout. 2021 Auburn's first win in Tiger Stadium since the 1990s. In 2022, you had a game where Auburn was in it till the very end, but LSU squeaked away a win. I would not be surprised if Hugh Freeze helps to make this a close game, but I do think that Brian Kelly and this LSU team are going to be able to get the win here. So now you're 3-3 before playing Ole Miss at home. Ole Miss, this is going to be a revenge game for Hugh Freeze, and it's going to be a tough game too because Ole Miss is no slouch either. They built their team with Lane Kiffin at the helm. They have Pete Golden at defensive coordinator now. They have a bunch of pieces that, if they put all together, they can have a 10-win season. And I think Auburn is going to be another team that's going to suffer from that. I think Auburn drops their 4th in a row right here before playing Mississippi State at home the next week. Mississippi State seems to have Auburn's number over the past 2 years. And I think that they're going to beat a team they're not supposed to. So I think with Will Rogers and company and Zach Arnett going to a more defensive-minded defensive-minded team rather than throwing it all across the yard with a run game, I think Mississippi State catches Auburn lacking here with all the losses building up, and now they're 3-5. Then you have a game at Vanderbilt. This is going to be a good turnaround game. While Vanderbilt's no pushover, I think Hugh Freeze is going to have this team good enough to where they're not going to slip up against the Commodores. So I think they bounce back with their first win since September and get a big win here to go to 4-5 before going on the road to Arkansas to back-to-back road games. Now, usually this would be a very tough game, or very tough stretch with back-to-back road games, but with how the teams are, Arkansas has not been good against the run, especially last year, over the past 2 years, and with Jarquez Hunter and Robbie Ashford, if they do want to get Robbie Ashford in the run game, I think Auburn could come in and steal one from Arkansas, and I think that's what they do. Get a big win here to get to 5-5, 2 straight wins in November before coming back home to play New Mexico State. Another one of these teams that is one of the worst in the FBS. I think Auburn's able to win this game easily before hosting Alabama. Now, this is another game to where Auburn could sneak up on Alabama. Alabama has had a tough time playing in Jordan-Hare Stadium since 2013. They have been in one-possession games late into the game. Let's see, 2013 they lost on the kick 6. 2015 it was close until the very end. 2017 they lost because of Kerryon Johnson and Jarrett Stidham. 2019 was the daggum shootout with Bo Nix and company. 2021 was the 4 overtime throw where Alabama finally got a win. This could be a very interesting game for Auburn. If they're able to win it, it would be the win of Hugh Freeze's tenure so far. I don't think that's going to happen, though. Alabama's just built very well. They have 2 new coordinators in Kevin Steele and Tommy Rees. While their quarterback situation is not going to be the best, I don't think that your defense is going to be able to take advantage of that, especially with Alabama's defense being Alabama's defense. Your defense may get a couple of stops, but your offense, I don't think is going to be able to score enough points to stay with Alabama. So there you go. I have Auburn going 6-6, making a bowl game in Hugh Freeze's first year after being depleted of talent and having to go to the portal for more. I think that this is going to be a building block for Hugh Freeze. I could totally see them winning 8 games, maybe. I could easily see that. You just have to upset maybe Texas A&M and beat Mississippi State, but it's just going to be a tough year for Auburn. So there you go, 6-6 record, and maybe even 7 wins if they can win that. So anyways, thank you all so much for watching. I hope you all enjoyed, and Go Dogs.